let's move on to the meatiest piece of meat in the sandwich. And that is this question. Exactly how much does supermaxing Jaylen Brown fuck up our cap situation? And what's changing with the CBA that makes this a thing to begin with? And before I throw to you, Spoonie, who is the most qualified person possibly in the world to answer this question. Spoonie,
Mike Zarin, Spoonie at number 2.
Yeah. Spoonie wrote a great piece on Celtics blog you can find on Celtics blog. For me, I'm an idiot, and I found this to be like just the easiest way and the most succinct yet informative way to digest all of the information, all the questions I had about like what's going on with Jaylen Brown and what are the constraints around the CBA that make this situation complicated. So go and read that if you haven't already. But we do have the man with us, Wayne Spoonie, to sort of answer this question verbally. So like I guess that's the question. How much does it fuck up our cap situation to supermax Jaylen Brown?
The biggest thing that fucks this up isn't the new stuff. It's something that already exists, and it's the combination of the luxury tax with the new stuff. So do you guys know how much our luxury tax bill is this year? Wick has to write a check for $64 million for this team right now. Right now. Yeah. And you think you're going to re-sign Grant probably. Tatum gets a raise because he gets those huge raises in his current max contract. Basically, everybody's contract goes up with the cap. So yes, the cap will keep increasing. They did cap smoothing at $10 million, but the pace of the contracts are going up either even with it or at a faster pace. So right now, without a supermax, we are paying $64 million a year on top of everything. Okay. So say next year, that's another $60-70 million luxury tax bill. And then after that, you get Jaylen supermax and the repeater tax kicks in. So this tax bill, if we do nothing and stand pat and just give Jaylen the supermax, this tax bill could be like $150 million. I do not think Wyc Grousbeck is going to pay $150 million extra a year for this team right now. And if he does, okay, hell yeah, you're the man, Wyc. I'll buy you some chocolates and roses. I'll get Jay's guy that does Derek White stuff and bring. I was
gonna say, yeah, you can come to the mistress penthouse for a night.
But the new CBA compounds it, right? Because there's all these limits on acquiring players. You can't take back money in a trade. Your draft pick can get moved to the end of the first round if you're over. There's this second luxury tax line if you're over that. So if you're good now and then you lose Tatum, like paying tax can screw you because you won't have your draft pick, even if you're terrible. So, and you can't use the mid-level extension. So like if assuming Wyc is not willing to pay that much tax, he's going to have to lower the salary bill. And that means getting rid of guys like Malcolm Brogdon, Derek White, Grant Williams, those kind of mid-level salary, Marcus Smart, in order to accommodate having a supermax. And then you can't really replace them because the new CBA limits the ways in which you can add talent to your team. So you are stuck with this dichotomy where it's like, we need to cut salary, which means we have to give up assets. And then also we can't even add with the mid-level exception. We can't do another trade where we add a little bit of salary and, move Peyton Pritchard, take on a little bit of extra salary and get a better player. You can't even do that. You basically are just stuck downgrading your roster to cut the salary bill. And then eventually you're left with like, okay, we've got Jaylen and Tatum on supermaxes and just about nothing else around them. Assuming Wyc is not willing to pay exorbitant amounts of money, which I do not think he's willing to do.
Do we know how Wyc has to pay? Is it actually Wyc? The Celtics make revenue, right? Like, does their profit, are they able to use that towards the tax bill?
Yes. So they actually have a company. It's like Boston Basketball Company or something like that. And Wyc is, I don't even know if he's the majority owner. He just might have the largest stake. We have a lot of owners. It's I think we're like one of the poorest teams, which is a concern. Yeah. But yeah, you absolutely can use the money that you generate. And maybe we're making so much money, this doesn't matter. And I absolutely hope that's the case. But I'm skeptical. I'm very skeptical.
Yeah, well, Googling Wycliffe is his full name, which I did not know.
Wow.
Is it Wycliffe Grousbeck, net worth of 400 million, which is a lot for a human, but like Steve Ballmer is like 100 billion.
Yeah. It ain't cutting $100 million checks a year. Rich.
That's what I mean. So like, if it's Wick actually paying that, then clearly he's not paying that. But like, if it's the group, how much for profit, maybe that becomes a little more palatable. I have a clip from Brad's presser that kind of like, someone asked him how the CBA will kind of affect him. He kind of goes priority about the core, and then talks a little bit about like the issues with like the biggest issues he thought with losing the conference finals, which I think kind of helps frame this here.